Welcome everybody, my name is Chapito and today we're back with a new investing video of Smart Sea Society. Last week we had something different, we talked about the y'all marketplace and the effects of this, but this week we're back with an investing video because we know this is what you love, to make that juicy profits even in the bear market. And today we're gonna focus on mints. And you all must have known it, you minted something, or maybe you bought into a mint that was there for a few hours or a day even, and afterwards you lose money just because you FOMO'd in and you didn't know what to focus on. Well, today we're gonna show you with our Twitter signals and our collections insights how you can actually look at mints a few days after to see if they're gonna be profitable in a few days. And you know, this is what we like to do. We like to look at the data. We don't want to FOMO in, we don't want to use our personal instinct, but we really wanna look at a mint a few days after to see if we should buy in. As you can see, we're here at our Twitter signals dashboard, and these are our just newly integrated signals, and they're doing really great. Apart from the last one, that one didn't make any profit, but a lot of them are in the green and with high numbers as well. And what I want to show you is a lot of these signals have been alerted a few days after mint, and we can inspect them and see them in graphs, and you can actually learn from these signals. Because a lot of times our holders are like, I just missed a signal, I was sleeping, stuff like that. And I have two things to say about that. One thing, our sniper is going to be integrated with the signals. So that's going to be released in August. So that's going to be great. But another thing is you can even find these pumps yourself without the signals. So we're going to look at some of these post-mint signals and we're going to see how you can learn from this. So the first four signals here are not post-mint, but actually these ones are. You can see these ones are really good in the profit as well. So we're going to inspect them and see them in the Smart Sea Society graph. And we're going to see how you can actually learn from what has happened here. So as you can see, we've got the blue line, which is the Twitter mentions line. And we've got the ME floor price, this one. We've got the listed count and we've got the volume, which is going to be important as well. And I'm going to tell you that in a bit. But what we see here is we see it minted somewhere at 14th of July, I believe, or 13th. And you can see the floor price was really low. Mentions were really low. Then the mentions increased from one day to another. Then it increased another day. And then it increased another day. So it got signaled somewhere around in this pump, I believe around 4.5 floor price. And it went all the way up almost 2x. So what does it tell you? Well, you can see a consistent pump in Twitter mentions. That's why that got alerted. So our signals work that it has to be daily improvement, but it also got to be an hourly improvement. Also, it's got to be backed up by volume because you can have quite a significant amount of increase in Twitter mentions, but if there's no volume, nobody's buying it, so it doesn't matter. As you can see, volume increased a lot on July 18th, and that's why it got signaled. Hopefully this all makes sense to you. I'm going to show you another example and then I'm going to show you some examples that didn't go well and how you can learn from this. So let's look at crash phases over here in the graph and let's see if they have a similar pattern as the other one. So we're going to go back to 7 days as well. And I think they also minted around July 13th or 14th. And you can see that there's a constant increasing Twitter mention count. And that's what we're going to see again. And also velocity increased. And then it got pumped at, I think around this here, right here. And then it got all the way to 41. So it got called here and then it went up to here. So another thing that's really important, we saw this in the other one as well. We can't call them here. So obviously, it would be nice if you could call them at 1.09 and then all the way to 41. That would be a clean 40x return, but it wouldn't be safe because this 2-day pump could just be artificial or just a few tweets. We want to see at least a 3-day pump that's consistent with velocity as well, and then it will pump. So we don't have to feel bad about not calling it here. We want to call it here and then we can get that clean 2x, 3x that we really are looking for. So hopefully you can really see how important Twitter mentions are as a predictive capability for the floor price. And we're always telling people this, like look into the graphs, find these pumps yourself, and you can actually make a lot of money with this. So you shouldn't just rely on the Twitter signals or the AI signals. It's the most easy part to make profits. Yes, that's for sure. But you can actually find these profits yourself. Like, we have made our model that it has to be a consecutive increase in days and hours. But maybe if you have already found a project here, which would have been a clean 3-day mention count increase, you could have already called it here at 1 SOL and you would have made a 40x. So that's really important to look at, and you shouldn't just rely on the Twitter signals, but you can find these pumps yourself. So it's nice to look at the pumps, but you also have to look at the other side, like, hey, what projects didn't do well and how can we learn from those as well? So we're going to Magic Eden and we're going to the Launchpad, and we're gonna find the last few Launchpad drops here. So for instance, Dux Vegas here, we're gonna see in the graph if they did well, because I know they didn't, and let's see if we can learn from them. So we're going here for Dux Vegas. And then we can see them in the graph, and we want to see 7 days, obviously, because they already minted. Let's see when they minted. You can see that always here, 14th of July. So that's perfect because we can look a week back. And as you can see here, mentions were quite significant the first day, and then every day they went down and down, and so did the floor price. So that's quite obvious. And you can see velocity was big here, but it just didn't get supported by the Twitter mentions. So the floor price went down. And that's another thing you have to be aware of, because the first day of mint, there's always going to be a lot of mentions. Why? Because it's on Magic Eden maybe, or maybe some people minted. There's always going to be hype. So don't dive into the first day just because there's hype. You have to look at if that hype persists on Twitter mentions. And the only thing that's gonna be really a good indicator of that is the data that we show you. So always look at this data, the Twitter mentions data, a few days after, see if there's still velocity, and then look if you're gonna buy into this. So let's look at another one, Loop Benders. They minted 14th of July. So we got the 7-day graphs, and here you can see the floor price was quite significant, and the mentions as well. And then same thing, it just went down, down, and down. So you can just see how important this correlations is. And this is what we try to tell everybody. And this is why our project is so unique as well. Some shilling over here, but it's just such important correlations. And a lot of people are sleeping on this. But if you find this Twitter mention pump and it's backed up by the velocity, then you just know it's going to be a good buy-in. And obviously you always got to do your own research. I mean, as you can see here, we've made this feature as well, because sometimes a Twitter mention increase is because there's a rug or there's some bad news. So you always have to look at the latest tweets to see what happened and to see if the news is good or if it's bad. So guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video, and hopefully you know how to look at mints a few days after. And this is what I try to tell you. It's really fun to be buying into mints or to be FOMOing in. I mean, I did it a lot of times as well. I know how it feels. And you see just there's a lot of price action and you think like this is going to be a good buy, but it's not backed up by anything. So that's why I don't buy into mints anymore. I just wait a few days to see what it does, to look at a platform, to see if Twitter mentions is going to increase or not. And then I'm going to buy into it. So make sure your decisions are backed up by data, because that's the only thing that works for me. If you like this video, make sure to drop a like button and also make sure to subscribe, because next week we'll be back with another video for you. So see you there.